Well, it's 6:30. You're live here on GHOne TV. This is News Tonight with me, Natalie. Let's take a look at our top stories. Coming up tonight, Shraj bars former GRA Commissioner General Reverend Dr. Amisha Dai Owusu Amwa from holding any public office for 5 years, referring him to the Attorney General for prosecution over procurement breaches which cost the state nearly 9 million cedis. Also ahead, opposition MPP accuses Mahama-led administration of weaponizing state institutions to intimidate and harass its members.
Development certainly suggests the worrying trend where members of the New Patriotic Party are detained beyond the lawful limit.
In business tonight, inflation slows to 4-year low of 8% in October 2025. Ahead in sports, Black Queens deputy captain seals contracts with Brooklyn Football Club for the 2025-2026 Gainbridge Super League season. Later in the bulletin, newly elected New York Mayor Zohran Mamdani says and much more news here on News Tonight's Tuesday. You're watching News Tonight here on GHOne TV. You can watch this bulletin live all across the world on X at GHOne TV. Let's get started this evening as the New Patriotic Party is accusing government of an alleged destruction of the justice system. The party refers to alleged harassment of some members through police arrest and detention beyond 48 hours, chiefly the exorbitant bail conditions of detained MPP members. Speaking at a news conference in Accra, the General Secretary of the party, Justin Kodia Frimpong, feared a return to the culture of silence under the Attorney General, Dr. Dominic Ayeni.
It is increasingly concerning that the state security agencies continue to flout with impunity the Constitution of Ghana, particularly Article 14, on the grant of bail to persons arrested or detained. Our Constitution requires that persons who are arrested or detained be brought to the court within 48 hours or be released either unconditionally or on reasonable conditions as may be necessary to ensure that they appear at a later date for their trial. Thus, an accused person who is not tried within reasonable time is entitled to bail, irrespective of the nature of the alleged offense. However, friends from the media, you will agree with me that in recent times, certain developments certainly suggest the worrying trend where members of the New Patriotic Party are detained beyond the lawful limit, subjected to unreasonable bail conditions, and effectively denied justice.
Now, the New Patriotic Party says it is opening doors for discussions to end galamsey. According to General Secretary of the NPP, Justin Kodia Frimpong, the governing National Democratic Congress came to power on the strength of fighting galamsey. But with overwhelming support, galamsey is even worse. He spoke at a press briefing in Accra.
Any reasonable person in this country will know that the state of galamsey is even worse than it was in the NPP administration. And it is clear that galamsey has become worse under this administration because we have members of parliament who belong to the NDC. We have national officers from the NDC through to the region, to the constituencies, and even their branch who are involved in galamsey. And it's not surprising that the security agencies are struggling to deal with that issue, because when they make efforts, they are threatened by powers that be in this government. But for us as the New Patriotic Party, because we care so much about this country and we mean well for this country, our doors are always open. If His Excellency President John Mahama sees the need and the wisdom to reach out to us, for us to have a proper roundtable discussion to combat these manners once and for all, the New Patriotic Party would gladly welcome such an invitation for us to address the issue of galamsey.
Well, let's stay on this issue a while longer and engage the Director of Communications for the largest opposition party, the NPP, Richard Ahiagba, for more on this development. Good evening to you, Richard. Now, you have said that, in your words, the NDC sees due process as a liability. Can you highlight and explain what exactly you mean by this, as per the NDC seeing it as a liability?
Oh, thank you very much. And you see it that way as well, because when a government, with all its powers, finds it difficult to extend to people what the law accords them, and only to short-circuit their process and access to due process, they see it as a burden. They see it as a liability they want to dispense with, or they find it a trouble in their way to implement their animal farm justice that is set up to administer in Ghana. When people have done anything that you perceive is against the law provides that you take them to a process. Whilst you're taking them through a process, our constitution says that such people are or ought to be presumed innocent until you, the state, or whatever the case may be, have come to the table with evidence compelling, beyond reasonable doubt, to state the fact that in a court of competent jurisdiction, to arrive at a conclusion that what you say they have done is manifestly, in terms of evidence, shows that they have done it. The government hasn't done that. They haven't done that. They are literally, through their own idiosyncratic researches that they have done, convicting people and making people, Ghanaians, see their fellow Ghanaians who merely the NDC have cause to raise allegations against as people who have committed crime. So Gift Owari today is seen as somebody who has committed a crime, but no court has pronounced her as such. Abdul Hanan is seen as somebody who has committed a crime, but no court has pronounced him as such. Sibe is seen as someone who has committed a crime, but no court has pronounced him as such. Only because the NDC and its Attorney General is gone to the media to convict people, to pronounce people guilty. That is viewing due process as a burden. So they can't wait to go through the due process of getting people tried and have people have their day in court. They are in a hurry to say that forget due process, we are saying that they are guilty and that's what it ought to be. That's not what the law says. That's a problem. That's animal farm justice. That's something you should fight against, I should fight against, because it is going at the heart of our democracy. The only thing that protects you from any government official coming tomorrow to arrest you in your house and jailing you is due process. That puts burden on the state, and that burden is not a burden they can shed simply because they want to. It's a burden provided strategically to safeguard the citizens from any
Richard,
government.
with that being said, how does the NPP plan to push back? I mean, are you considering any action in response to what you describe as harassment?
What we are doing, this is part of the process, and we are eliciting your support to shine light on this egregious, disruption and denial of rights of citizens. You should get involved in this effort. I should get involved. The rest of us should get involved. We should say that it is not okay. It doesn't matter who is applying to today. If we allow it to stand, tomorrow it may be your turn. So we must stand in solidarity in defense of democratic rights that we've all fought to implement in our country since 1992. We must defend that position, and that's what we're calling for. So the New Patriotic Party, we're not going to give up. We're going to use democratic processes to demand, and we expect that you will join us too.
Now, Richard, let's touch on Galamsey, the General Secretary of the NPP. He clearly indicated willingness of the party to dialogue with the government to resolve and put a stop to issues of illegal mining. What form of engagement are we looking at this taking?
Well, I mean, the way I see it, Galamsey is an intractable problem. It is a wicked problem that we need to look at in policy terms to dialogue. Every so often, we would invite civil society. Remember, recently the president invited, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama invited all civil society organizations and stakeholders to dialogue about how we approach the problem of Galamsey. It requires a whole village approach, and so calling for the inclusion or the involvement of the opposition party, I think, is a call in the right direction. What that will do in the long term is to bind us all in an effort to fight a canker that afflicts our future and our survival equally. And so I think if serious attention is paid to it, it will yield dividend that will bring commitment, across the aisle to try and fight Galamsey. And that, in essence, will depoliticize the fight against Galamsey and see it as a common Ghanaian problem, one that we must unite around and solve.
Richard Ahiagba, thank you for your time this evening, Director of Communications for the NPP. Well, let's now get onto the phone lines and speak with political analyst Dr. Jonathan Asante-Otre. He joins us via Zoom, that is, on what he makes of these accusations by the NPP. Good evening and thank you for joining us, Dr. Asante-Otre. Now, you hear these claims being put forward by the NPP, accusations of the government undermining the justice system. I believe you just heard my conversation with Richard Ahiagba as well. How serious are these accusations? How concerned as a country should we be?
Thank you very much. Good evening to your viewers. I think that the opposition should elevate the kind of position that they put forward. I think that they seem to be dealing with issues at a peripheral level. Everything that I believe that should not even attract such kinds of position, you just go out there to do so. I've heard the ranking member on, I think, environment or so, suggesting that the government appears to have dealt with the issue with some kind of, so to say, swiftness. Use that word, swiftness, but they are watching. It may appear so, but in effect, maybe there is some kind of hypocrisy, attached to it. I mean, it appears that everything that the government does, they seem to have a problem with it. This is a man who has, for want of a better, misconducted himself by obstructing justice. If he has done something untoward in terms of Galamsey, I think he will have his day in court. This is a charge leveled against him, obstructing, so to speak. And you seem to misconstrue that to suggest that somebody who has been accused of having burnt the country's money to the tune of billions, that person should have this same bail condition. What kind of what logic is that? And I think that they must elevate the kind of opposition that they are doing. I don't think that if they go on this particular tangent, people will take them seriously. And that is my view on that. I think that the president is showing leadership. How does it happen that a previous government grants thousands of concessions, licenses? A new government comes, it is dealing with it. Now you are accusing the new government, implicating the matter. I mean, who is going to listen to such a weird argument and reasoning?
Right. So
when this government has not even given any concession or license. So who are those people that the licenses were given? Right. For which reason they are destroyed? Me, my position on Galamsey has been very consistent. It does not know NDC or MPP. If it is destroying, it is going to destroy all of us. Nip this in the bud. Yes, the government might have benefited one way or the other in terms of politics. But they cannot, the MPP cannot, on a regular basis, be reminding us, it's as if they are still in pain of the loss. There were so many other things.
So Dr. Santi Ontria, just so in a nutshell, what you are therefore saying is
I will advise the current government to work.
Right. I was mentioning that, in essence, what you're highlighting, are you saying, therefore, that these claims are not anything to be taken too seriously? I mean, it's just a matter of being in opposition and therefore making these accusations to the current government? Is that what you're saying, in essence?
That is what I'm saying, in essence. Because we were here when we heard that this Galamsey conversation about party yesterday, that was apparently said by a certain general secretary of the party. We had regional secretaries who were all caught on tape. And we cannot just obfuscate the issues because today somebody else is in power. And I'm of the view that they must elevate their opposition because Ghanaians can read in between the lines in terms of the hypocrisy and the sycophancy in the language that they've been putting out there in the name of what's it called, the press conferences. Each of them faced any legal action. Even Natalie did all these documentaries with Akunta mining, and even the police commander then, the IGP then, in the name of Mr. Abu and then Dr. Shibe and Co, who did a petition against this. Nothing happened. You have the president come to defend. Have we seen anything like that? Anything like that? That's, with absolute swiftness, this issue, whether it is going to be a top dressing or it is not, we are also going to the point where we need to see the logicality, the logical conclusion
of these cases. Right. Now, Dr. Santi Ontria, for purposes of time, just
MPP, NDC, no. I want to listen.
Now, for purposes of time, just to, you describe it as hypocrisy on the side of the MPP. Now, the MPP also has expressed fear of the return to this culture of silence under the current administration. How about that concern? Do you think that is justified?
I think there's an exaggeration. I'm yet to see anything of that sort. The current president does not have that kind of desire. The legacy that he wants to establish is already received publicity in the name of a culture of silence I don't think that somebody who's a communication expert, somebody who is a historian, somebody who is a media practitioner would go that far. It is just an exaggeration. It doesn't really hold any water.
Dr. Jonathan Asante-Otri, you say it's merely an exaggeration and hypocrisy from the side of the MPP, in your words. Well, thank you for your time this evening. Political analyst joining us on that issue. You're watching News Tonight here on GHOne TV. Do stay with us.
Kwame and his uncle are almost here.
Welcome back to News Tonight. Still on issues of illegal mining. Member of Parliament for Wasa East, Isaac Ejay Mensah, says the John Dramani Mahama-led government will not declare a state of emergency in the fight against illegal mining anytime soon. His comments come amid growing pressure from civil society organizations calling for a targeted state of emergency to combat environmental degradation caused by illegal mining. President Mahama had earlier indicated that government is still exploring various avenues to address the issue without resorting to emergency powers. Following the recent attack on a National Anti-Illegal Mining Operations Secretariat team at Shridiam in the Ahafo region on November 1, demands for a state of emergency have intensified. But speaking on the floor of Parliament, Isaac Ejay Mensah said the president remains committed to using existing legal and institutional frameworks to tackle the menace.
It was MPP that gave permit for the forest to be impacted, to be destroyed. Yes. And you know what? We have cleared the forest. The 9 major forests have been cleared. Yes. NAMO's in here to bring decency. Yes. The boys are giving the hope that indeed we are to reset Ghana and resolve the problem with Ghana. Yes. We are going to make sure that responsible cooperative mining comes to stay and it is better, because that is why we make sure that every responsible cooperative post or location, we get a geologist, we get a metallurgist, and we get an environmental expert. So we make sure that this time around they are not going to mine in the rivers. You allowed chamfans to be placed on rivers. Yes. It's not going to be done. Now they are stopping them, and they are stopping them forever. So, Mr. Speaker, I think that it's very clear MPP has been very irresponsible in managing our resources. So the 2,100 licenses were given by you. How many licenses did we give out? So you need to exercise patience. You have no moral rights to talk about Galamsey. President Mahama made it clear we are fixing the problem. NIMOS is in place. All the rivers have actually been cleared. You know, the Ankobra, the Densu, the Pra, and many of the big rivers are getting to be better. So why is your worry? As for state of emergency, it is not coming today and it's not coming tomorrow. Because we've started the process to make sure the sanity is there. What is your justification to talk about this? You have been involved in you are still involved in what I'm saying. So allow, at the appropriate time, the records will come through.
Meanwhile, MP for Inshayaso Stephen Amwa has demanded an apology from the NDC government to former President Akufo-Addo and Ghanaians, accusing the administration of spreading falsehoods about the previous government's record on illegal mining.
They believed in our brothers in opposition, thinking that within the shortest possible time, Galamsey will be a thing of the past. What do we see today? It is even aggravating. I will never blame the NDC government. I want to be a good citizen. But I'm asking them first to apologize to us and Ghanaians for lying to us. Mr. Speaker, for deceiving Ghanaians, the deception, the propaganda, the lies you told Ghanaians. Let us all understand the fact that some of these issues must be given the needed national attention, devoid of politics, because it's destroying us. Let's work on our mindset revolution, change the way we use propaganda in deceiving Ghanaians because of political capital. It's extremely important.
Well, this, however, drew a sharp response from Bolgatanga Central MP Isaac Odongo, who criticized the Akufo-Addo administration for failing to address the menace during its 8 years in office.
If there is anybody in this country who can fix this problem, it is John Dramani Mahama. And that no matter how people shout on top of the roof, Ghanaians are aware of how they destroyed our country. It is not how angry you get, it is about the solutions that will fix the problem. Only a few days ago, we had people who were saying that they will not stop Galamsey today, they will not stop it tomorrow because they want to win power. We had people who said that their party needed money and that Galamsey was the way their party could raise money. Mr. Speaker, we're in this country where people told us that they had put their presidency on the line and ended up with the presidency at home and left us with Galamsey. So, Mr. Speaker, we are not interested in people who are pontificating today. We are interested in the solutions that are being preferred to solve this problem. Mr. Speaker, we are making sure that the laws that enable people to go and mine in our forests are being revoked today. So nobody can go to the forest and mine gold and destroy the environment.
But former Defense Minister Dominic Nitiwul defended the former president, noting that Nana Akufo-Addo demonstrated commitment to the fight by putting his presidency on the line.
Mr. Speaker, the point I am making is that Galamsey intensified in this country. I was deputy leader here. I was sitting where they are sitting. 2013, 2014, 2015, and 2016. That's when Galamsey intensified. It was for that reason that Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo said, I'll put my presidency on the line. And what we did first, and I want you to do the same, if you want to fight Galamsey, what we did was to ban all small-scale mining for a minimum of 8 months. That's what we started with 8 months. After that, Mr. Speaker, we increased it to 12 months. We increased the banning of all surface mining for at least 1 year. Today, your own minister, Kofi Amabua, Honorable, came to this house to come and say that 9 forest reserves that had not been touched before have been taken over by Galamseyers. Mr. Speaker, your member of parliament has been arrested today, yesterday. Your own member of parliament has been arrested for protecting Galamseyers. And you come and blame us? No, you can't.
So live here on News Tonight on GHOne TV, we bring you Insight next. On Insights this evening, the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice, GHRAJ, has barred the former Commissioner General of the Ghana Revenue Authority, Reverend Dr. Amishadai Owusu-Amoah, from holding any public office for a period of 5 years. This decision follows findings from an investigation that uncovered procurement breaches and administrative lapses, which reportedly cost the state nearly $1 million. The probe stemmed from a petition filed by the Movement for Truth and Accountability, which accused the former GRA boss of fraud and corruption during his tenure.
The decision is contained in a 157-page report signed by GHRAJ Commissioner Dr. Joseph Huidal on October 28, 2025. According to the report, Reverend Dr. Owusu-Amoah supervised the award of inflated and irregular contracts to three firms, Rono Motors Ghana Limited, Talino Ghana Limited, and Sajel Motors and Trading Company Limited for the supply of vehicles and logistics to the GRA. Though the Public Procurement Authority raised concerns about sole sourcing, the GRA proceeded with the contracts after submitting a letter from the Deputy Finance Minister, Abena Osai-Asare, authorizing the transaction. GHRAJ found out that only one of the companies, Rono Motors, had a physical office, yet all three were awarded contracts worth millions of cedis. Investigations further revealed that Rono Motors bought vehicles from Toyota Ghana and inflated the prices, leading to a loss of over $791,000 to the state. In total, the GRA paid over 51 million cedis to the three firms, but none delivered the vehicles or logistics under the contracts. Based on these findings, GHRAJ has barred the former GRA boss, from holding any public office for 5 years and referred the case to the Attorney General for further investigations and prosecution. The Commission has also urged the Public Procurement Authority (PPA) to strengthen oversight and maintain an updated database of suppliers and contractors as required by law.
For more on this, the petitioner, Lawal Lafusaini, joins me in studio for more on this development. Good evening to you. Thank you for joining here. Now, first of all, what necessitated this? What was the basis of your complaint?
Well, thank you for having me. Well, as a Ghanaian, you have it as a duty to report any act that doesn't inure to the benefit of the state as a whole. So that was just the main reason why that motivated me to take up this matter.
Now, can you share what initial findings you had that then led you to Sraj and supported evidence that you used to support your claim?
Yes. What we got was that some individual wanted to reward their colleagues or their cronies with money. So they decided to do that by way of coming up with a contract, giving it to them, and then through this contract, they can amass wealth themselves personally. So that is basically what made us to say, no, this is actually wrong, because you don't dissipate the public fund for your cronies just because you need them to have certain money or whatever it is.
So that's the initial findings that you took to Sraj. So what given where it stands currently, what are your thoughts on Sraj's findings in addition?
Yes, well, we are so glad that Sraj had come out with this report and the recommendations that had been put forward from this report. We are hoping that the Attorney General will take up this matter and then prosecute whoever that has been indicted as far as this report is concerned.
How about the sanctions that have been imposed by Sraj, barring him for 5 years from holding any public office? Do you think that that's enough, or what more are you hoping to see?
Yes, it's enough. But I wish this funding would have come long ago, because this man was in office when this thing happened. They had ample time, and they arrived at this decision for a very long time. But I don't know why, or we don't understand why, they had to keep this report until when the man exited office. Then they are bringing this.
And you lodged this complaint in 2022?
2022.
August 2022?
Yes, please.
Why that long period then? Were you able to get any feedback from them as per the reason?
Well, what we uncovered was that the individuals who first initially petitioned this issue had to withdraw the petition. But Sraj got to know that certain wrongs, serious crime had been committed. So if the individual had withdrawn the petition, it was within their domain or mandate to still take up the matter and retrieve these monies out. So that's where we came in. We said, no, this matter cannot rest, because those guys who first initially petitioned and were compromised to withdraw their petition, I can tell you with sincerity that they were compromised.
You say it's on authority, that they were compromised to withdraw
their petition.
Their petition?
Yes.
Any further evidence as per?
Yes, we have evidence. We have evidence to that effect.
What evidence do you have to that effect?
We are PI. We went undercover. We spoke to the first guy who petitioned, and we got some information out that, yes, this was what happened.
Now, briefly, how do you hope that how do you hope that it sort of makes an impact on such potential cases within Ghana?
Yes, like I indicated, if Attorney General should succeed and prosecute this case, get them convicted, the directors of the companies that connived with the former GRA boss and had this issue, if they are all also taken, prosecuted, I'm sure other companies in the country would take a cue that sometime when you are vying for some contracts, you need to make sure that you play by the laws of the country. But don't just say because I have somebody in higher authority who can aid me to bypass certain rules or certain conventions in the country will not inure to your benefit tomorrow, because those individuals will not forever be on that seat to protect you. And that is basically what GHOne Motors and the other two companies are going on today, because they had not paid their taxes, but they were allowed to progress as far as this contract.
And those two other companies didn't have physical brick and mortar offices aside GHOne Motors.
Yes,
well, thank you very much. That's a petitioner, Lawal Fusaini, joining us on that issue. Now, let's stay on it as a procurement expert and MP for Ashaman, Dr. Ernest Nogbe, joins us over the telephone lines now for more on this conversation. Good evening to you, sir, and thank you for joining us here on News Tonight. Now, you just heard my conversation with the petitioner. What are your initial thoughts on these findings and ruling put forward by Shraj? I hope you're hearing me, Dr. Nogbe. I was asking what your thoughts are on the ruling against Dr. Amishadai Owusu Amwa put forward by Shraj. Do you think it's a step in the right direction?
Thank you very much, and good evening to your viewers. Yes, I think this is a step in the right direction. And looking at I have not read the report in its entirety, but with the little I have seen, I think this is a total disregard for procurement laws. There's total violation of the Public Procurement Act. But this act is made. I'm going to study the report to its entirety and then come out with the findings, those findings that were breached. Because you cannot, under any circumstance, procure that quantity of vehicles under single source procurement. No, it is never done. You work against the rules of the Procurement Act. First of all, what necessitates the procurement under single source procurement, a single source method? Because when you talk of single source method, there are preconditions that will compel you to procure anything under those conditions. And if those conditions are not what you envisage, there's no way the procurement of such items fall under those conditions. First of all, there must be a disaster. Is there any disaster that you have to procure vehicles at that alacrity? There must be an emergency. Was there any emergency? It must be of national security issue. Was there any national security issue for you to procure that quantity of vehicles under single source procurement? I also cited a portion of the report that PPA was misled in signing or in approving for the single source procurement. So in this case, it is not only the GRAs, but the PPA must also be held responsible. It means due diligence was not made, because as an authority that oversees procurement activities, anything that comes before you, you must do proper due diligence, value for money, before any approval. If you look at the Procurement Act, Section 40, which talks about the single source, you realize that the procurement of these vehicles did not fall under that condition. You must enter into competitive tendering. Just invite quotations from most companies that are eligible. And you must also do what we call capability survey. Because I read somewhere in the report that some of the companies that were giving the contract, they were not able to supply the vehicles. You must do what we call capability survey. Capability survey means that you must make sure that the company has the capacity and also the financial wherewithal to be able to procure those vehicles. Right. All these things were not done. And understand the company that procured or that was able to supply a quantity of it have also inflated it. All these things are against the Public Procurement Act, and it's a step in the right direction. And in fact, the Attorney General must take this thing up.
Right now, Dr. Nogbe, in rounding up briefly, what do you make of this 5 years from holding any role in public office? Do you think it's sufficient, and what more are you hoping to see?
It's just unfortunate that this thing was held since from I think 2022, right. Thereabout, isn't it? Or
exactly, August 2022. Yes.
It's just unfortunate. It was shielded But it means that there are a lot that we need to unearth, not only from GRA, but other companies, other entities that engage in procurement activities. We need to do proper investigation, and I'm very much surprised that for 5 good years, we've not been able to identify the rot at GRA to come up, and this has taken this long time before we are trying to identify it. But be it as it may, it's better late than never. We still have to go ahead and investigate this matter. The Attorney General must take it up, and proper investigations must also be conducted in most of the entities, most of the agencies in the previous administration, because if this one could take us 5 years to get to this level, then I can bet you there are a lot of things that we need to unearth, and there are a lot of things we need to investigate.
Well, Dr. Ernest Nogri, thank you very much for your time this evening. Procurement expert and MP Shaman joining us on that issue. That wraps up Insights, but do stay with us on News Tonight.
Good business.
You're welcome back to News Tonight. Let's turn to some health-related stories this evening. Globally, 1 in 3 pregnancies are unintended, driving maternal deaths and adolescent health risks. In sub-Saharan Africa, teenage pregnancy rates remain among the highest worldwide, with family planning access now under threat as the U.S. eliminates funding for family planning worldwide. This is why Population Action International, an international CSO working to advance universal access to sexual and reproductive health and rights, is urging for the passage of the Global Health Empowerment and Rights Act to permanently repeal the expanded global gag rule, which blocks U.S. funding to NGOs that even discuss abortion. EIB Network's Alice Aite reports from Bogota.
To the system. That's how Population Action International PAI President and CEO Nabiha Hutchins describes the U.S. decision to cut 80% of foreign aid, including 45% of Ghana's contraceptive supply, due to USAID shutdown. Once a leader in integrating family planning into national health insurance, Ghana now faces a funding challenge that threatens to reverse hard-won gains. This follows a November 1 warning from UNFPA about dwindling global contraceptive stocks due to funding shortfalls. In Ghana, over 50% of GDP goes to debt payments, leaving little room for self-reliance without external support.
The U.S. government, through USAID, funded and provided 45% of Ghana's family planning and reproductive health. Not just family planning and reproductive health services. No matter how you slice and dice it, it is a big...
Data from PAI shows that U.S. aid once prevented millions of unintended pregnancies annually, but that progress is now at risk. For women across Ghana, the pain is not just future uncertainty, but the loss of autonomy, dignity, and the ability to plan families.
I think it's very sad that they put this fund support. I think it's terrible that they did this, even knowing that many people rely on the support that they give. And, in many areas, many regions, many countries in the world, it's really hard to get access to sexual health. And many people were getting this help because of the U.S. support. And now that it will no longer be available, I don't know what we're going to do.
Meanwhile, 9.7 million in U.S. purchased contraceptives, IUDs, implants, and pills sit in a Belgian warehouse set for incineration at a cost of $167,000 to taxpayers. These viable supplies, expiring as late as 2031, were destined for African communities.
There is an act, it's called the Saving Lives and Taxpayer Dollars Act, that essentially would prevent the incineration or destruction of health products and health services, health commodities across food, nutrition, family planning, and more. If they're viable and they're needed, they should be released. From a policy perspective, if I had one wish, it would be to pass the Global HER Act. And why is this so important? The Trump administration in January, within a few days of the Trump administration take office, reinstated the global gag rule, which prevents foreign NGOs from receiving U.S. funding if they are also advocating for essential reproductive health care, such as abortion.
There are deep inequities in the provision of reproductive health services, as deaf women in Ghana are often misheard and misunderstood in clinics and are denied proper counseling services. This is a stark reminder that reproductive health is a human right where survival depends not only on policy and awareness, but on sustained global commitment. Advocates want U.S. lawmakers to act before ICFP ends on November 6. Reporting from Bogota, Colombia, Alice Aite, GHOne News.
You're watching News Tonight. We've got business news next.
The Business Brief is brought to you by CompuGhana, passion for technology.
The year-on-year inflation rate for goods and services has declined significantly to 8% in October, down from 9.4% in September 2025, thereby reaching its lowest point since June 2021. According to the Ghana Statistical Service, this impressive decline marks the 10th consecutive month of falling inflation. During a virtual press address, government statistician Dr. Alhassan Idrisu noted that food and non-alcoholic beverages were the primary drivers of inflation in October 2025. There's more in this report.
It has been 4 years since inflation was this low. Dr. Alhassan Idrisu, the government statistician, addressed the press.
Ghana's year-on-year inflation stood at 8% in October 2025, down from 9.4% in September 2025. And well below the 23.8% recorded at the end of 2024. This means that on the average, prices of goods and services in October 2025 were 8% higher than in October 2024. This marks the 10th consecutive month of decline and the lowest inflation rate since June 2021. The steady fall from 23.8% last December to 8% today shows that Ghana is firmly on the path towards macroeconomic stability.
The government statistician, in his recommendations to the government, emphasized that to maintain or further reduce inflation, the government must champion fiscal discipline and keep food prices low.
Sports news is next. Black Queens deputy captain Jennifer Kujo has signed a new contract with Brooklyn Football Club women's team for the 2025-2026 Gainbridge Super League season. The 31-year-old midfielder shared a moment with EIB Sports' Monica Bukhari, expressing her joy of sealing this new deal that will see her continue her career in the USA.
On signing this new deal with Brooklyn FC. Tell me, how does it feel for you?
I mean, it feels amazing to be able to play in one of the highest leagues, so it's exciting for me and I'm looking forward to it. I mean, US is one of the biggest markets when it comes to soccer, and the way they play, the intensity and everything is part of my game, and everyone that watches me can tell. So I love that I can go back to that place that I'm familiar with and keep developing and just, keep being part of the team. I'm pretty sure the players will be welcoming, and I'm looking forward to that.
And that's how we wrap up News Tonight this evening. Many thanks to you for making the time. Lots more news available on our website, Star FM.